Today, we begin a series that will continue for the next year here in America's Newsroom when we talk with potential candidates for the White House in 2016. Our first guest, Gov Kasich, Republican governor out of Ohio, who just recently won re-election after a dominating performance. And I spoke with the governor yesterday. Gov Kasich, governor of Ohio, with me now, sir. How are you? And good morning to you in Washington.
Well, it's good to be with you, Bill.
It's good to have you back here. Mitch McConnell said he was perplexed by the president's reaction to what McConnell called the butt-kicking that he and Democrats took in the midterms. Now, McConnell would describe him as being in denial. How would you phrase this? What's going on there?
Well, I'm an executive, CEO of Ohio, and, the president is saying, look, I might have been, hammered here in the midterms, but I'm still the president, and I'm going to do as many things as I can possibly do. And I think the most important thing is for Republicans to start advancing a solid agenda, because you have to compete with ideas. You can't compete with negativism. You got to compete with ideas. So I'm optimistic. I saw John Boehner the other day, and John is, very optimistic about having an idea program, and that's where we have to be. And frankly, I think putting that out there is...
So you don't sound like you're in the school of that the president's in denial. You're just saying he's going to do whatever he can do, whether that perplexes the right or not.
Well, I don't know what do we gain by that, Bill? I mean, the president got lost a lot of seats and a lot of support in the last election. Let's move to the next stage. You had an election, that was then. Now you got to get into what's going to happen now and what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's most important to put out a positive agenda, rather than looking backwards. I'm a guy that likes to look forward in terms of what are we going to accomplish today, what are we going to accomplish tomorrow, and what are we going to accomplish next week? And that's, I think, where we ought to be.
I'm going to look forward to. Jeb Bush says he's going to make a call on whether or not he runs for the White House after the first of the year, perhaps sometimes in January. When will you make a decision on that?
Well, Bill, I've just been elected governor of Ohio. I'm working on a budget. We're announcing so many different programs in the state, and that's where my focus is right now. And I just went through an election, and I'm committed to improving Ohio, and we just have to leave it there for now.
Is that a no for now, or is that a no permanently?
These questions sometimes make my head hurt, Bill.
They might, but you're going to get them.
I'm not saying, look, that's all you're getting. I mean, honestly, I am focused on the state. I'm committed.
I got you, but you're thinking about it at least. Is that fair?
What I'm thinking about is the budget, what I'm doing with taxes. That's what I'm thinking about right now, and I'm thinking about, potential Christmas presents for all my friends and folks.
I got you. Hey, we are too. I know you are quick to brag about the job creation in Ohio. And you talk about the economy and the way it's moved under your leadership over the past several years. You are also under heat for expanding Medicaid under Obamacare from some of your Republican colleagues as well. If you are to get in that race, how will you defend yourself on that point?
Well, Bill, I'm not much into defending myself. I'm into telling people how I feel about things. And, what we've been able to do in Ohio is sort of keep the commitments that we made to the mentally ill when years ago all over the country we shut down big institutions. And now we find them in our jails and living on the streets. If I can have the resources by bringing Ohioans' money back to Ohio to treat the mentally ill and the drug addicted and helping the working poor to have comprehensive health care so we're not paying for it because they're in the emergency room, they have no coverage, and then our insurance costs go up. I don't know why I wouldn't do that. And so the bottom line on that is that in my state, we're not only interested, creating economic growth is not an end of itself. It's a means to an end. And the end of it itself is for everyone to be lifted. And if I have an opportunity to help people who live in the shadows, I'm clearly going to do it as the governor. And that's just the way it goes. And I think that's a real conservative position to get people who are hurting to have an opportunity to live their God-given potential. If you read in that old and new book, they have put it together. It's in one book now, the old part, the new part. It talks about the poor. It talks about the widows. It talks about the disadvantaged. And I mean to help them while I am growing jobs and bringing a more prosperous Ohio. We've got a long way to go on all of that, Bill.
That would make an interesting primary argument. Governor, thank you. We'll see if indeed that's the way you go. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you during the new year.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gov Kasich, governor of Ohio. Remember on election night after he won, he came on Fox News, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "I just won Cuyahoga County 2-1."
Yep.
Well, Cuyahoga County is 3-1 Democrats and Republicans,
Yep.
and that will be a big pitch if he gets in this race, that he can win on both sides.
Yeah, indeed it will. And he's right to put off your questions and prolong the process, because we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton and whether or not inevitability is hurting her as everybody tries to kind of pace themselves ahead of this big election that's down the pipe.